Chapter 2. Earlier that morning. Ghost slid her window open, slowly and carefully. She kept the wooden tracks waxed with a piece of paraffin left over from when Nana made jelly, a trick she'd heard on some Household Hints TV show her grandmother always watched. She eased her slender body over the sill and out onto the roof, damp with dew, then shut the window almost all the way. She wore her backpack, even though school wouldn't begin for another 5 hours. No sense coming back for it. She'd find plenty to do, and she knew from past experience that once she woke up there was no point to staying in bed. Nana said that children needed their sleep, but Ghost didn't. Besides, her mother's car had not returned to the driveway, and looking for her gave Ghost an excuse to continue the search. She crept along the shingles, having perfected the most noiseless path among them, until she could both leave and enter her own home without making the slightest sound. At the edge, she stepped down onto the heaviest branch of the maple tree in the yard, using 2 other branches as banisters. The leaves made a slight rustle, but between wind, squirrels, and rats, the trees always rustled. That wouldn't alarm anyone. From there, she dropped down in the yard, quietly opened the gate, and trotted down to the sidewalk. A deep breath. Free. She liked her house, loved her mother and grandmother, yet Ghost still felt this euphoric happiness only when standing alone out in the dark air, adored these dead hours of 2 and 3 and 4 sliding into 5, when the world was quiet and still and the city glittered like a kingdom in a fairy tale. She could have thrown out her arms and done a quick twirl, but she didn't, having grown too old for little girl behavior. She turned to the north and set off, as silent as her namesake and nearly as pale. Most of the houses were unlit, their inhabitants slumbering, but several had the shifting blue glow of a TV set dancing behind drawn curtains. Rusting cars sat in tiny overgrown driveways next to dented garbage cans. Next door, the Walker place had 2 lights on and no less than 5 people milling about, in, out, sitting on the step and bouncing up to talk to people who stopped their cars before driving on. Near as Ghost had been able to determine, no one ever slept at the Walker house. She kind of liked that about them, that they had learned to appreciate the night like she did. One of the younger boys noticed her walking along the sidewalk and lifted a hand. She waved back and continued on. Ghost set off a few dogs with her passage, but the 2 outside ones had grown accustomed to her and merely lifted a head or an eyebrow. Nearing the intersection, she saw 2 young women on their porch, smoking and griping about some unnamed enemy. One nursed a baby, the other drank from a can. Between that house and the one next to it there ran a narrow, overgrown passageway to the neighboring street, but Ghost never took it at night. Besides, she wanted to go in the other direction.